Welcome back. I'm Wavepunk, and this is day 57 of producing for a year. Today, we're going to try and add a bit crush transition between two sections of the song. This is something I've talked about in previous episodes. Going into our Game Boy section, I want to have the track, instead of just doing some sweeps and some whoosh sounds to get there, what if the entire track compressed down in its bit rate to kind of emulate the song going from being this big, expansive, immersive, real-world sound to being packed inside a small video game cartridge that a child is playing. The first problem I have here, though, I spent a lot of time just kind of sitting and thinking and scrolling around trying to figure out what the best approach to this is. Putting, like, all the sounds, like the kick, the basses, the synths, the pads, putting all those things onto one bus, I think will cause problems when I get into the mixing stage and I want to be able to kind of mix the basses and the synths separately. Unless there's some sort of like bus chaining system in Logic that I'm unaware of, my other option is to put the Bit Crusher, a distortion plugin, on my stereo out. That seems like blasphemy, like something you should never do. But I decided to try blasphemy just to see if I like the effect. Let's just build it, see if the sound sounds good, and then we can kind of worry about maybe redoing it on a bus later. I'm going to have to be really careful about how I build this if I want it to have any chance of working and not just messing up the rest of the track. So the first thing I automate is for the effect to be bypassed at all times other than in these 4 bars of transition. Once that was set up, I automate the downsampling part of the Bit Crusher to move up slowly and exponentially over the course of these 4 bars. Each turn of this knob is like a super noticeable change. This is a very powerful effect, so we have to be subtle about how this works. Okay, just that change from like 2 to 4 is really obvious. I think we could blur that line, though, by automating the mix knob over the course of these 4 measures. Okay, that sounds cool. We're getting somewhere, but the tails of the instruments that are all ringing before this effect kicks in, those tails of like reverb and echo come back in after the Bit Crusher turns itself off. It's kind of ruining the effect, so let's automate each of those instruments to mute for a while so the tails don't hang. The main problem created by having this on the literal stereo out instead of on a bus is that if I wanted to have some sort of effect be outside of this crush, like a swell or something that would just help maybe make the effect not as severe, I can't do that. They're like literally all roads lead through the stereo out. That is the final checkpoint all sound must pass through to become an MP3 file. So there's no way to have anything not go through the stereo out. So I might end up moving this to a bus at some point, but honestly, probably not. I kind of like how brutal the effect is. It definitely sells the sound of this big song being shoved down into a video game cartridge. I do love that. Okay, so moving on. This 8-bit bass we built yesterday, I want to try adding it to the beginning and see if it works in other parts of the piece. Okay, damn. That alone makes this sound much more chiptune. Again, this track, I've been warring against the fact that it was like more of a Psytrance track first and a chiptune track second. So let's see if we can tweak this. These little octave jumps that we're doing, they kind of take away heavily from the Psytranciness of the track, which I do love that the track sounds Psytrancey. I'm proud of myself for being able to make this track sound so authentically Psytrance, at least right here at the beginning. So can we kind of split the difference, maybe just have the notes all be in the same octaves? How does that sound? Okay, that works, but now we're like really muddying the bass. The notes are too long, and they're kind of all over the place velocity-wise. What if we just literally copy-pasted the MIDI from the Psytrance bass into our 8-bit bass? That fixes the muddiness, but now I can't hear the 8-bit at all, so I'm going to put it up an octave, see what that sounds like. Okay, I like this. Does it work in the rest of the track? This works well, and we've got this spread pretty wide, so it kind of, I think, adds a nice width to the bass that was run up the middle before that. So I'm enjoying this very much. This is a very good, quick day of work. See you tomorrow.